Hey there, everybody. This is Ed, and welcome back to another edition of Bagel and Booze. We continue on our Decem-Beer journey, and we got two more beers coming out of the big box of cheer. And today we've got yet another sour. Hopefully, this one is better than our cucumber sour. And we also have a hazy IPA that we'll be trying. So we're gonna go ahead and get everything set up, and we'll get our first beer up and ready for tasting. Our first beer that we have on the docket today is coming out from Redhook Brewery. We tried them before for some other stuff out of the beer box, and this one is their Storm Surge Hazy IPA, which is very apropos for right now because the Northeast, pretty much the whole of the United States, is getting hit with some type of winter storm coming through, dropping rain and everything else.
Weather Service has upgraded Springfield's blizzard from winter wonderland to a Class 3 kill storm.
So perfect beer, I guess, for name for today, this week, what have you. But with this, they tell us it is going to be a tropical fruity forward hops. It's going to have the light malt that's in there, and supposedly we got a crisp finish. Obviously, it's going to have a citrus overtone. This one, they're telling us it has got pineapple and mango style overtones. So what makes a hazy IPA and just not a regular old IPA? Well, it's the unfiltered portion of the brewing process that gives us the hazy characteristics, this unfiltered cloudiness that we get. And with that, it's not done out of laziness, but it's done more out of choice in order to try to drive down the hoppiness that we get out of regular IPAs and give us a slightly more mellow. Byproduct of this, obviously, is it gives us more of a citrusy type flavor that comes out from these hazy IPAs. While that is their name, we also get them out by other things: unfiltered IPAs, East Coast IPAs, New England IPAs, even juicy IPAs. To me, there is a difference between, I guess, a juicy IPA and a hazy IPA. Hazy IPAs aren't as juice forward, to me, at least in my tastings, or the ones that I've had. The juicy IPAs really got a heavy grapefruit type overtone, whereas the hazies do get a little bit more of that kind of citrus mix that comes into play with those. So let's go ahead and we'll get this guy poured out and get her tasted.
I drink and I know things.
So we got everything all poured out, and as we can kind of see, move our glass around a little bit, get rid of the writing. But as you can kind of see, we do have that kind of cloudiness to the beer. It's not as crystal clear as we get with some of our ales, and obviously the IPAs that we would have if we had a regular IPA. So it's, again, we do get a nice haziness, almost not able to be seen through. So we'll go ahead and give it the good old sniff test. I'm getting some of that IPA hoppiness smell that I get. Hopefully we don't get the soap. So we'll go ahead and give her a taste. That one's not too terrible. I do get a mellow hop flavor to it. That soap kind of profile that I always talk about with an IPA. I don't get as much of that. I get a little twinge at the back, but just it's halfway decent. It's not as hoppy, and I am getting the fruit kind of overtones that come into play. Yeah, I do get some pineapple. I guess kind of mango. Kind of tastes a little bit of a fruit juice that got in there. So, but this one, it's not shaping up too bad. It is fairly drinkable. Actually, it's pretty drinkable. I guess as far as it comes to rating this, we'll give it a 3. It's right middle of the road. I guess I could be convinced to give it like a 3.5. We'll give it a 3.5. It's actually pretty decent. As As far as with the IPAs go, I know we've done some of the IPAs, and even though I get that the hazy IPA or the juicy IPA, and it's still got not that great. There's really not too much bad with it. We got a halfway decent flavor profile that comes off of this beer. The hoppiness is fairly low. We got just a smidge of it. It's nothing overpowering that I would have, say, on some other regular IPAs. So this one, we'll go ahead and finish it up. I guess we'll do the old chug test. So let's see if we can chug her down and finish this one up to get to our second beer. So let's see if we can do. So it definitely obviously is chuggable. I guess that goes into a factor for rating. So it is one, of course. With that, I got a little bit of an overpowering ooh, of the hop, that soap flavor. So I guess lesson learned: sip this guy, don't chug it. Comes out a lot better. It's enough to kind of balance out as you drink it. But in chugging it, there's a lot of hop I got on the backside of the mouthfeel. So let's go ahead, get everything reset for our second beer, and we'll be back to try that one. Our second beer that we have coming up for today is from 10 Barrel. It is their raspberry sour ale. As you remember, we did their cucumber sour ale, and I was not a fan of that in the lightest. I have a little bit more hope for this in the fact that it's a raspberry sour, so it should line up with some of the lambics and other beers that I have tried, some of the quads and things of that nature. Hopefully this should be more in line with some of that stuff versus kind of just cucumber, which to me is not a flavor that belongs in any type of drink. 10 Barrel tells us that the flavor profile for this beer is Oregon raspberries with hibiscus. What hibiscus has to do with flavor, I have no idea. I'm going to guess it's more of a smell profile to it versus a flavor. I don't know what flowers really taste like. Never eaten flowers. You eat hops. That's different. It's not flowers. It would not be a bagel and booze without the more you know moment. And this one I kind of did looking up in regards to Oregon raspberries. I know 10 Barrel is out of Oregon, but what or why specific Oregon raspberries? Is there anything special to them? And come to find out, Oregon is in the top 5 for production in the United States. As far as blackberries are concerned, they are the number 1 state when it comes to blackberry production, but they are the number 5. The whole Northwest, or I shouldn't say the Northwest, Washington, California, and Oregon, that kind of contributes to the Northwest. They produce in the U.S. 90% of the raspberries here that we consume in the United States. The U.S. itself, as far as raspberries are concerned, is the number 4 country. They're behind Russia, Federation Russia, whatever you want to call that country, Mexico, and Serbia. Those 3 countries combined account for 50% of the world's production of raspberries. So, whether you care to know or not, there's your little tidbit about raspberries.
I drink and I know things.
So as I kind of expected, we got kind of it's not really amber. We've got a slight pinkish hue to our beer, which I would expect for a raspberry flavored beer. I wouldn't expect something nice golden color, but who knows? So we'll go ahead. We'll give it the sniff. We'll give it the drink test, and we'll see how it is. And hopefully this sour is better than their cucumber sour. So right off the bat, I do get a good whiff of raspberry. Gives good hope that we have off of this one. It's tart, which would expect for a sour, but unlike the cucumber, this one is drinkable in my opinion. We get a nice balance. I would like to have a little bit more raspberry fruit forwardness, but for what they put in, it's not bad. It does a good job of balancing that in. That kind of initial hit of the sour, I guess, is kind of gone after the first, one or two sips. Mouth is already kind of puckered, so it's not really hitting us as much, and it makes for a pretty good beer after that first kind of drink. In the ranking scheme, I'm trying to figure, obviously I'm not going to rank it down as low as what we gave off of our cucumber. You know, I, I'm going to venture so far to say, and I guess it's probably a little bit of personal preference because, again, this is another style that I have come to drink. We'll give it, we'll give it a 4. Uh, it's outside that initial kind of burst. After we got over that, it's pretty easy. It's pretty standard. Um, it's got a halfway decent flavor profile. I'm getting a good bit of the raspberry that comes in. I get a little tartness that comes from the souring. Souring, I don't think that's a word, but from the sour aspect of the beer. So, you know, it shapes up pretty good. So I guess as we did with the other beer, we'll have to see if this passes a chug test, and we'll find out if I guess a different reaction to it as we did with our hazy IPA after I did a chug of the beer. So we'll go ahead and chug it up, chug it out. I don't know what the proper, I guess just chug it. So, and then we'll figure out if it adjusts anything. It's definitely chuggable. I do get some sourness that comes in off of that. A little bit more intense of sour flavor, but it's not overpowering. I still get a good, decent bit of the raspberry that comes in off of this. Um, so yeah, it passes a chug test. It doesn't change the ranking. So with that, this is done. I'm done. We're done. And I thank you guys for tuning in for another edition of Bagel and Booze. And we'll be back for another set of reviews. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.